one of the biggest moments in our modern history that exploded a chain of events leading to millions of deaths across the world. 9/11. But there's one man some people don't know who used enough lifetimes of luck as the insurance payout. The man is named Larry Silverstein, whose experience is described as the perfect coincidence, making him the luckiest businessman in the world. The timeline of his decisions and the events that followed is what makes the whole thing so unbelievable. The story begins just 6 weeks before the attacks. Yes, just 6 weeks. Remarkable timing, isn't it? In the spring of 2001, Larry Silverstein secured a 99-year lease on the entire World Trade Center complex. This looked like a very stupid business decision. Why? Because the buildings were full of asbestos. The law required Silverstein to clean it up, but the cost was so massive that it was estimated to be more than the value of the Twin Towers, hence why no other businessmen even wanted to touch the towers. Silverstein was facing a financial disaster before the first plane ever flew. He then made two controversial moves. First, he made sure his new insurance policy specifically covered acts of terror. Second, he insisted on insuring the property for a much higher value than the company suggested, demanding a total coverage of $3.5 billion. He paid extra for this high coverage, turning a huge building liability into a huge insurance asset. Everyone thought he was a madman, not only buying the asbestos-riddled buildings, but then by willingly paying more insurance. Strange, right? On the morning of September 11th, another unbelievable coincidence occurred. Larry Silverstein was a workaholic who was always in his office. But on that morning, he was not in the World Trade Center. He had a last-minute appointment with his dermatologist, becoming the luckiest man in the damn world. WTC-1 and WTC-2, the Twin Towers, were hit. The official story is that the planes and the massive fires weakened the steel structure, causing the total collapse. Meaning this is the first time in history that fire alone had brought down a steel-frame skyscraper. After the towers fell, the wreckage, including all the structural steel, was coincidentally sold and shipped to China for recycling. This fast move prevented investigators from checking the steel for signs of explosives. The end result: 2,753 deaths. This is a key part of the story that most people don't know. A third skyscraper, WTC-7, also collapsed on 9/11. WTC-7 was a large 47-story building that was not hit by a plane. It was important because it housed sensitive government offices like the CIA, Secret Service, and the SEC, who handles corporate fraud. At 5:20 p.m. that evening, many hours after the Twin Towers fell, WTC-7 suddenly collapsed straight down into its own footprint. It fell at the speed and in a way that structural engineers said looked exactly like a controlled demolition. Its symmetrical fall was too perfect to be random fire damage. The collapse coincidentally destroyed thousands of SEC case files about massive corporate frauds like Enron and WorldCom, effectively wiping out criminal evidence. The final piece of the perfect coincidence is the money. Silverstein sued his insurers, claiming the two planes meant two separate disasters, and one, receiving a final award of $455 billion. He went from owning a financially crippled, asbestos-filled property to becoming a billionaire. The perfect timing of his absence, the controversial collapse of WTC-7, and the massive financial payoff makes Silverstein the luckiest businessman in existence.